The phone rang on a Tuesday morning. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I picked up. On the other end was screaming. Not begging, not apologizing. Screaming from the man who had been my boss, my mentor, my almost friend for 7 years. The man who had stolen my wages, my sick leave, my savings, and 6 months of my life. He was screaming because the house he had spent 7 years building, brick by brick, room by room, dream by dream, was gone. And he had no one to blame but himself. This story starts in 2008. I was a young man with a computer technology degree and absolutely nowhere to go. The financial crisis had just hit. Every company that had visited my school, promising scholarships, offering futures, had quietly disappeared. So I spent my mid and late 20s doing what millions of people did that decade. Dead-end job. Save some money. Get laid off as a redundancy. Spend those savings just to survive. Repeat. Years went by. Technology moved forward. I fell behind. And somewhere in my late 20s, I snapped. I needed a real change, not a lateral move, a full reset. My late father had been a welder. I started looking into it. And this is the part of the story where the universe appeared to be on my side, just for a moment. The exact same week I started making inquiries. A state-sponsored program launched offering free welding training. I enrolled. I finished. And within days of completing the courses, I had a job offer. Not weeks, not months, days. That job offer came from a man I will call Rat Boss, RB for short. RB ran a small field welding operation, 6 men, traveling across Europe, dawn until dusk, 7 days a week, sometimes gone from home for over a month at a stretch. He told me he'd teach me real welding. None of the schoolyard theory. The real thing, out in the field. And for the first 6 years, he delivered on every single word. The work was brutal, but the adventure, the places, the people, the brotherhood you build with a small crew when you're the only ones who understand what your days look like. I genuinely miss those days. And RB himself, in those early years, was the kind of boss you spend the rest of your life trying to find again. One time, he took out a personal loan at significant interest just to make sure we all got paid on time. He had an emergency expense drain his account 2 weeks before a client payment was due. Rather than ask us to hang tight, he went into debt. For us, not for himself. For us. That is not nothing. That is character. Or so I believed. Year 7 changed everything. The core crew started leaving. They had families. They missed them too much to keep living like this. RB himself stepped back, finding work closer to home. He set me up as foreman. I'd run the field work. He'd manage the business from home, sending workers my way as I needed them. For a while, it was fine. Then the pandemic hit, and everything that had held together started to crack. Nobody decent wanted to work abroad anymore. The people willing to go were a different kind of person entirely. The workers RB started sending me were not workers. Drunks, thieves, drug addicts. Men with nothing to lose and no intention of doing a good job. I made sure the work got done anyway. I always made sure the work got done. But wages started arriving late. Travel expenses I was owed stopped being reimbursed. The accounting between gross and net wages started looking creative. And then came the phone call that finally broke something inside me. 3 in the morning. One of my workers had been arrested, drunk and disorderly. No identification on him, just his work card, with my name as the foreman on the job. The client called me to identify him. I drove out at 3 in the morning. I picked him up. I swallowed everything I was feeling. All of it. When I got back, I sat down with Rat Boss for a real conversation. I told him I was done with this arrangement. He apologized. He admitted his wife was fighting him over how money was being spent. He asked me to wait on the travel expenses. And those were not small numbers. I drove at minimum 2,000 miles per month for nearly a full year. He asked me to stay on minimum wage for just a few more months while he sorted things out. And I agreed, because 7 years of trust doesn't disappear in a single conversation. But I had one condition. By the end of September, I needed half of what he owed me. I had contractors coming to do work on my house. I had already paid deposits, and anyone who has ever tried to book a reliable tradesperson knows exactly how hard those appointments are to reschedule. He looked me in the eye. He said that was no problem. No problem at all. We had a deal. 2 months passed. Even the minimum wage started arriving late. My stomach turned. As September arrived, I confronted him again. He reassured me. The money was ready. He had it set aside. No issues. We wrapped up. He walked me out. And as I turned to leave, I caught his face. I have never in my life seen a smile that fake. It didn't reach his eyes. It didn't reach anything. It was the smile of a man who had already decided. I stopped. I turned back. I looked at him for a long moment. The kind of look that doesn't require words. The kind that says, "I see you, and I will remember this moment." His smile disappeared. Immediately. I got in my car and I drove home. That weekend, he sent me a message. Very enthusiastic tone. He had a new crew lined up. He was flying abroad to meet a potential client. The alarm bells were already deafening. He is going to be gone when the payment is due. He has already decided to betray me. I made a quiet decision. If the money didn't come on the due date, I would file a 30-day resignation notice the exact moment he returned. But the universe had other plans. 1 week before the payment was due, I slipped on a work ramp. Not a sprain, not a pulled muscle. I destroyed my ankle. Emergency surgery. 2 weeks minimum in hospital. 6 months before I'd be able to put proper weight on that foot again. And you already know what happened to the money. It didn't come. Not the travel expenses. Not even that month's minimum wage. And it kept getting worse. While I was in the hospital, heavily medicated, barely conscious, my mother used my savings to pay the contractors. She had emergency authorization on my accounts. She thought she was doing the right thing. She told me not to worry. The sick leave would cover it. Here is what you need to understand about sick leave in my country. For a work-related injury with a recovery period longer than 1 month, the employer pays only the first month. Everything after that is funded by the government. The government sends that money to the employer, who is supposed to forward it to the employee. I never received a single cent. Not the government sick leave, not the wages, not the travel expenses. Nothing. I was bedridden, broken, out of money, receiving collection calls from my bank about a loan installment I couldn't pay. So I cashed in an investment to survive. An investment that would have paid me a modest passive income for the rest of my life. Gone. Because of him. There's a particular kind of clarity that comes after a betrayal like that. It isn't hot. It isn't loud. It's cold and quiet and very focused. I had been his foreman for years. Every decision, every purchase, Every contract, every discrepancy in the numbers. The paperwork crossed my desk, and I had kept all of it. Every receipt, every invoice, every document that showed exactly what he had done. The moment I was able to drag my recovering foot out of my apartment, still on heavy painkillers. I went to work. I filed with every government agency that had any jurisdiction over what he had done. The Labor Inspectorate, the Tax Authority, everybody with the power to act. At the Labor Inspectorate, a caseworker went through the evidence I'd assembled. She read carefully, quietly, and then she muttered to herself, wide-eyed. My God, he broke half the labor laws in this country. Now let me tell you something about Rat Boss's personal life. He lived in a small apartment in the capital city. His wife, 2 children, all of them. And I mean, small. The kind of apartment where everyone has to turn sideways in the hallway to pass each other. But he had a dream. For 7 years, he had been building a house on a plot of land outside the city. A real house, large rooms, space for everyone. A garden, the kind of place a man builds when he needs to prove something to himself, to his family, to the world. He had been building it slowly, carefully, with everything he earned. When we were still speaking, in the good years, he had told me he was 6 months from moving in. 6 months. When the government hammer fell on Rat Boss, it fell like the meteor that killed the dinosaurs. His bank accounts were frozen. He was barred from international travel. His business licenses were suspended. He was required to dismiss all current employees with severance pay. Money he did not have. He filed for bankruptcy. To cover the fines, he was required to sell the house he had spent 7 years building. The house that was 6 months from finished. Gone. The fine was 30 times the sum he had stolen from me. 30. That was when my phone rang. Tuesday morning. His voice. Screaming. How could I do this after everything we'd been through? I let him finish. Then I told him, slowly and clearly, exactly what he had done. The year of travel expenses he had stolen. The government sick leave he had pocketed while I lay in a hospital bed. The investment I had cashed just to pay my bills. The 7 years of trust he had thrown away for money. I told him he was a rat who had betrayed his friend. And then I told him all future communication should go through the Labor Inspectorate case office. And I hung up. When the bankruptcy proceedings concluded, I was only able to recover 1 month sick leave. 1 month. Not the travel costs, not the wages, not the investment. Just 1 month. But here is the thing. I can live with that. I genuinely can. Because he paid 30 times what he stole in fines. Because the cramped apartment he spent 7 years trying to escape is exactly where he is now. Accounts frozen, unable to work, unable to support his family, unable to pay the bills, trapped. While I'm standing here, on both feet, literally and figuratively. He made a choice when he looked me in the eye with that fake smile. He chose all of this. No eye for an eye, no tooth for a tooth, the whole face for an eye, the whole head for a tooth. Karma doesn't always arrive quickly, but when it comes nuclear, there is nothing left standing.